Burns here at Westhampton Beach to do a six contest between the Rocky Point Panthers, I should say the Rocky Point Eagles, and the Westhampton Beach Hurricanes. Westhampton Beach coached by Rich Grace and Rocky Point coached by Jim Gilbert. And Bob, perhaps some quick comments before they, actually they're going to start, so we'll catch up on that in just one moment. Some of the non-starters for Rocky Point, Todd Trang, number 3, Mark McNamara, number 20, Alex Spice, number 23, Gary Carlson, number 42, Dan Whitten, number 51. Non-starters for Westhampton Beach, John DeMarco, number 22, Jermaine Holman, number 34, Tom Freeman, Kevin Wortham, 51, Tom Gonzalez, 14, Aaron Johnson, 50, and Jason Bender, number 20.
Here tonight's starting lineup.
And now the starting lineup
Rocky Point.
For Rocky
Senior
Point.
guard, Devin Schmidt.
Senior, number 40, Devin Schmidt.
For Westhampton, junior guard, Lamar Holman.
Westhampton, junior, number 30, Lamar Holman.
For the Eagles, senior guard, Rob Lennon.
For Rocky Point, number 43, senior,
And for
Rob
Westhampton, senior
Lennon.
guard, Brock Munch.
And for Westhampton Beach, number 40, a senior, Brock Munch.
Rocky Point, senior center, Lucas
Rocky Point,
Foster.
senior, 6'8" center, Lucas
And for
Foster.
Westhampton, senior center, Kevin Hubbard.
Westhampton Beach, their big man inside, number 42, senior, Kevin Hubbard. Hubbard going
Rocky Point,
6'5".
junior forward, Charlie Cobb.
Rocky Point at forward, junior, 6'5", number 44,
For Westhampton, junior forward, Tyrone Ford.
Westhampton Beach, junior forward, number 12, Tyrone Ford.
Finally,
And
senior
rounding out the
forward,
starting
Ron
five,
Horvath.
Rocky Point, number 50, senior,
And for
Ryan
Westhampton,
Horvath.
senior forward, Peter Donahue.
Westhampton Beach, 6'4", senior, number 44, Pete Donahue.
Westhampton, middle race, Jackson Meadow, Bill Hensling. The pitchers for tonight's game were Jim Underwood and Larry Fitzgerald. I'd like you to rise, please.
And now we're going to
If you
have
have face
our
flag
next one.
while our cheerleaders sing the national anthem.
Westhampton Beach cheerleaders. And Bob, I know you've been waiting patiently to get in here, so perhaps a few comments before the tip-off.
Well, Westhampton comes into this game with a perfect record this year. They're 8-0 in league, and they won all 6 of their non-league games. They've had a big margin over all their league victors. In fact, they beat Rocky Point, really swamped them in the early games. And Rocky Point's apparently second in the league. They got a 5-2 record. So I believe if Westhampton wins today, they've clinched at least a tie for the title. And as I said last week when I was here, I can't see anybody in their league beating them. I think they're going to go a perfect 12-0.
Yeah, as you mentioned, Bob, first meeting between these two teams at Rocky Point, the Hurricanes won handily 60-39. That was the game in which Pete Donahue broke 1,000 points for his career, and he's not too far off the all-time Westhampton Beach record.
Well, in that game, Ford had 26 points and Donahue had 15. So between just those two boys, they outscored the entire Rocky Point team.
Rocky Point with the ball off the opening tip inside to Forster, who scores 2-0 Rocky Point. Glad you could be with us wherever you're watching us today, right here on Peconic Bay Television, Channel 27. Pete Donahue with the ball, Tyrone Ford.
Unlike last week when Westhampton had a decided height advantage, Rocky Point is just as tall as they are, if not taller. Forster, I believe, is 6'8". Westhampton's tallest boy is Hubbard, is 6'5".
Of course, the Hurricanes, a lot of defensive pressure. They'll always be pursuing the ball, trying to force the turnovers. That first game, they forced many turnovers. Forster got in foul trouble, too, which hurt them offensively, hurt the Eagles offensively.
Well, last week when we were here to see Shoreham Wading River, Westham put on a heck of a press in the first quarter, and they had two quick boys out there, Lamar Holman and Tyrone Ford, and they really raised heck with the Wildcats in that first period.
There gives the ball to the Hurricanes.
Looks like a 3-2 zone. Almost switching from a 3-2 to a 2-3. And it causes a few turnovers there.
You can hear in the background some members of the Hoops Group, 100 members strong here. A lot of support for the Hurricanes. Now the steal, Hubbard. Underneath to Holman, who scores. Lamar Holman tying the game at 2.
Yeah, here comes the pressure. They broke it that time with ease.
Another turnover. Munch with the ball. Underneath to Hubbard, who cannot hang on.
Westhampton starts a team, all 5 boys are 6 feet or over. They match, Rocky Point matches up well with them, however.
You see the Hurricanes pressuring the ball inside. Forster, shot no good, rebounded by Munch. And stolen by Charlie Cobb. It goes all the way to foul from behind by Holman. Forster, I should say.
Bad pass that time by Donahue.
The last time these teams met, Bob, at Rocky Point, there was a point in the game where Ryan Horvath, gave a blatant foul to Tyrone Ford after he made a layup, and it resulted in a couple of technical shots and some bad feelings between those players. And I don't know if any of that's going to have a carryover effect here today. Of course, that was a few weeks ago, but certainly it's a rivalry. Even at the town level, there's a big of a gap in the town level. We're going to see some hard play today, I would think. Donahue down low. Forster knocking the ball out of bounds.
Rocky Point comes into this game with a big win, 65-38 over Mount Sinai. They had 4 of their starters in double figures in that one. So they're coming in at a high peak.
Rocky Point with a 3-2 lead. 1 out of 2 free throws by Cobb. A few moments ago, near steal by the Eagles.
The defense is giving them problems so far.
Munch with the jumper. Good. Brock Munch putting the Hurricanes ahead, 4-3.
I thought that was Mensch, M-E-N.
Mitch, okay, I'll go with you there. Mitch. Sounds very Jewish to me, like, you know, Mitch. And Forster controls it down low. Turnaround jumper is no good. The rebound taken by Hubbard. Hurricanes look to run. Donahue all the way in and scores. Pete Donahue making it 6-3 for Westhampton Beach. Again, pressure by the Hurricanes. Schmidt with the ball. Looping pass inside to Forster, who scores, and he's fouled on the play.
I'm not sure whether they gave him the basket or not on that one. Let's see. Now they waved it off.
It looked like he was fouled in the act of shooting, but apparently, Bob, as you say, he fouled before the shot. So to be Eagle ball out of bounds. We should mention the officials for today's game. Jim Underwood underneath the basket, and his partner today is Larry Gualtieri, who I seem to recall had a mustache one time I've seen him before, but not today. And coming back on an inbound play, Rob Lennon got return pass, but had not established his position inbound. So that turnover will give the ball back to Westhampton Beach.
As we mentioned last time we were here, Westhampton is a very strong defensive team. They've been holding their rivals to less than 40 points average a game.
Of course, if you have a pressure defense, cause a lot of turnovers, you can get a lot of easy baskets. And ball thrown out of bounds. Looked like Hubbard had a chance for that, but couldn't hold it, couldn't get a hand on it.
Westhampton's been averaging 65.6 a game. They've been giving up 39.5. So you can see they've been winning their games by an average score of 25 points. They haven't really been tested.
Down low to Collins, loads the layup. Pass ahead, looking for Ford. Knocked out of bounds by Horvath. It'll be Westhampton Beach basketball. Number 20 in the lineup for the Eagles, Mark McNamara, a senior, replacing Lucas Foster. So the big height inside is not there right now for Rocky Point. Let's see if the Hurricanes try to get it down low with his absence. Lamar Hallman with the ball. Oh, Donahue, and he scores. 8-3 Hurricanes.
That was very slick play by Donahue. He pushed off just before he got that pass. Left him wide open.
Nice work by the Eagles, resulting in a layup by Horvath. 8-5. Nice touch passes by the Eagles in that possession. They moved the ball very quickly before the Hurricane defense could recover. Just what you need to do against a hard-pursuing defense like Westhampton Beach.
Westhampton's got four of its starters averaging double figures this year. And the other boy, Mensch, is boosting his average up. He's up to 8.2.
Donahue took that pass while he had 1 foot out of bounds. So that will give the ball back to Rocky Point. A lot of turnovers on both sides in the early going, but play rather sloppy.
Yes, Westhampton's press is not taking the effect it did against Strong Wading River. Help there, of course, the walk.
Traveling violation called on Rob Lennon. Mensch will inbound to Holman. Hubbard down low.
He put the ball on the floor.
Eagles. Horvath with the
Another
ball.
walk.
And couldn't get rid of it. Called for traveling.
Like so many big men, Hubbard had to try to put the ball on the floor, and he shouldn't have done it. Could have taken it right up.
8-5 Westhampton Beach. 2:45 left. Opening quarter. Nice steal by McNamara, anticipating that pass. And now pressure.
Those two, Hallman and Ford, are very active out in the front line of that press. That's three traveling violations in the last minute.
Double teaming pressure by the Hurricanes, forcing that turnover again. Mensch, the jumper is no good. Rebound to Lennon. Hank Smith all the way down. Nice space. Blocked from behind by Donahue. And we pass straight the other way. Donahue to Ford. Side jump is no good. Rebound Horvath. And stolen by Hubbard. To Hallman. All the way. Scores, and he's fouled. Lamar Holman going all the way in after that feed from Kevin Hubbard on the steal, scoring and being fouled.
I was very impressed by Hallman last week against Strong Wading River. In fact, we made him our player of the game.
And the three-point play completed, 11-5, Westhampton Beach, 1:50 left in the opening quarter.
He's been a starter ever since his freshman year. He's a junior now.
And down low to McNamara, scoring 11-7, Westhampton Beach. a Rocky Point ball. You can hear the loud raucousness of the hoop troop.
Vociferous. That's the word, vociferous.
Vociferous, that's a good one. We hope to have one of their members on halftime talk about the group a little bit. Getting quite a name for themselves. And it's Hubbard with the steal, Holman, to Tyrone 4. Misses the shot, Hubbard on the board. Cannot convert, but he's fouled.
Very sloppy games thus far. Neither team seems to have anything worked out.
Hard to tell some of the fouls because the scores table was on the opposite side, and there's nothing on the scoreboard to let us know who the foul is on. So we'll only have to guess at some time. It is a two-shot foul for Hubbard. And he connects on the first. Yeah.
Hubbard's averaging 11.6 this year.
I know he set out a little bit last year with an injury. Been healthy this year.
He had a high of 28 against Bayport.
Again, pressure by the Hurricanes, forces a turnover. Donahue. Fight for the ball, and stolen back by Rocky Point. Cobb all the way. I should say that's Schmidt. Scoring on the layup. 13-9, Westhampton beats. Final 30 seconds of the opening quarter. Good pressure by Rocky Point. And he's going to be called for a foul. That's going to be on Devin Schmidt. Pretty tight call there, Bob. We're right in front of us here. It didn't look like there was much bumping going on.
Yeah, well,
referees want to control the play to some degree, and they want to let people know, the players know what kind of game they're going to be calling. 15 seconds in the quarter. Hurricanes holding for one shot. 10 seconds. Donahue looks like it's going to go 1-1. Up, gives it to Holman. Donahue. Good play by Rocky Point. That was 43. Rob Lennon reaching in and tying up Donahue. Fine defensive play. Give the ball to the Hurricanes with 2 seconds left on the alternating possession. Holman fires at the buzzer. And scores! 3-point shot by Lamar Holman. Making it Westhampton beat 16. Rocky Point 9 after the first quarter of play. And now the Rocky Point, I should say, the Westhampton beat cheerleaders will entertain us.
that was some shot. That reminds me of the one that we saw on television this week. Who was it? Harris?
It might have been.
Yeah. Whoever was one of the pros threw it in with a 1/10 of a second. They threw the ball and he took it in midair and threw it up. Great shot.
And that was a tough shot because there was close defensive pressure on him as well, and he managed to get that shot off and nailed it.
He's got 8 points already.
And that was from a few feet behind the three-point line, which is, I think, about 18 feet, 9 inches or so behind, away from the basket, I should say.
Holloman averaging 10.8 a game. He had a 21, his highest been 21 points in the game against Mount Sinai. He was one of those guys I named the Diaper Dandy as a freshman when we were back there. He and Ruth from Riverhead and Cass from Shelter Island.
Second quarter underway. Getting the ball down low was Charlie Cobb, who was pushed.
Foul, I think it's called on, yes, it was called on Hubbard that time. That's his first.
Now, I have to get the right pronunciation on Lamar's last name. Is it Holman or Holloman or Holman? I'll have to check at halftime.
Holman, I guess.
Okay. I suppose to be in the scoring.
Oh, boy.
And here's McNamara, who's played well since he came in the game.
Boy, Westhampton was lax on that one. No way that should have been allowed.
But Forster's been out of the game, Bob, since the last few minutes of the first quarter, and McNamara's played well. Fouling right there as Hubbard took the ball to the basket.
I think that one was on McNamara. (16-11) Westhampton beats
early moments of the second quarter. Hubbard for 2 shots.
It's 3 for 3 from the line. It's always good when a big man can make his foul shots because he usually goes to the line often.
2 out of 2 for Hubbard. 18-11 Hurricanes.
Nice form on his foul shots. Westhampton in a man-for-man now.
And getting inside, nice shot and basket by Rob Lennon as he banked it in. 18-11, Westhampton beach.
18-13.
18-13, yep, okay. I was a little faster than the guy operating the scoreboard, I guess. Looking at the scoreboard. Hurricanes with their starting 5 still in the game. No substitutions yet.
You won't see many for Westhampton. He doesn't sub often. Despite their big winning margins, the subs have been averaging, the bench has been averaging less than 6 points a game. Zone is giving Westhampton trouble. There, nice pass.
Pass down low to Hubbard, and he scores. Nice feed by Donahue, spotting Hubbard cutting to the basket. 20-13 Hurricanes. Lennon with the shot. Rebound to Holman. Nice feed ahead to Ford. Shot is missed and tipped no good. Still battling. Finally taken by Charlie Cobb for the Eagles.
They had about 4 chances that time.
Schmidt. Horvath had his shot partially deflected and scored by, was that 44, Bob?
Cobb, yes, Charlie Cobb.
All right. 20-15, Rocky Point hanging in there so far. Unlike the game at Rocky Point where the Hurricanes got a big lead early. And ball knocked out of bounds.
Oh, I think it should be the other way.
And it was kind of a strange play.
I think it should be the other way.
Went for that ball like it was off of his team. And didn't quite save it, but
sure looks like it should be Rocky Point ball.
They're discussing that. Meanwhile, Lucas Foster is back in the game, number 33, replacing Mark McNamara. Now the officials are discussing this. Jim Underwood facing you, and Lana Garcia, which is back to you.
Goletary's
It's going to be a Hurricane ball.
It was Goletary's call. It was on this side of the court, but I saw it as a Rocky Point ball, but apparently Underwood did too.
5:25 to go, first half. Hurricanes with a 20-15 lead. Holloman with the jump shot. Rebound, Horvath. Again, Hurricanes pressuring the ball at every opportunity. Double team pressure, as you can see. Throwing a pass to 10 seconds.
5 seconds.
A 5-second violation.
Well, I came expecting a blowout. So far, it's a ball game. Mench's
Pass out of bounds off of Mench's hands.
Hallman has thrown a couple bad passes. The other day, he was almost perfect as far as turnovers went.
Well, as you mentioned, Bob, this zone by Rocky Point is making it difficult for the Hurricanes to get the ball down low, and they're doing a pretty good job around the perimeter as well. They're moving well to the ball. And the Hurricanes are a tough team to try to match defensively, as we know. And they're hanging in there so far. And the steal, Holloman. And he lays in 22-15 Hurricanes. One thing you don't want to do is give up the dribble in the back court, which has just happened there, but he got away with it. And going all the way missing. Now Foster on the rebound scores for the Eagles, 22-17.
I think the Westhampton's going to have to look for Mensch. He's been open. There he is.
Takes the three. No good. Rebound Donahue.
Mensch has improved his scoring immensely over the last 4 games. He's been double figures 4 games in a row. And he's the man that they're leaving open. He can do some damage. He's been hitting his 3-pointers lately.
Well, yeah, if you move the ball fast enough, you can have the jump shots from the wing. Rocky Point is giving those up. So the Hurricanes haven't taken it too much now. Turnover. Boston knocks the ball away. And now restolen by the Hurricanes. Mensch with the ball. Goes all the way. And does not score, but is fouled.
Once again, we can't see who's called the foul on.
25 in the game for Rocky Point. Senior Todd Burke replacing Rob Lennon. Foul apparently before the shot, so it'll be Hurricane ball. 3:20 to go. First half, Hurricanes with a 22-17 lead.
Donahue and Mensch are the 3-point shooters on this team. Donahue's got 20 so far, and Mensch has got 12. The rest of the team has only got 2 amongst them.
Hubbard having the ball knocked away. They try to score. Donahue with the long jumper. No good. Rebound to Horvath. Again, pressure by the Hurricanes. You have to be precise with your passes against the Hurricanes. Now turnover. Holloman. Short jumper is way off the mark.
I think that was partially blocked.
Let's see what the call is. Apparently not, as the ball will be Rocky Point.
Race is arguing that it was blocked. It sure looked blocked from this angle.
Well, now each coach has a call. They were saying it was reversed, so I guess it evens up a little bit. And 3-point shot by Ryan Horvath. Makes it 22-20. Westhampton beats the Eagles. Hanging tough. Hurricanes not playing like an undefeated team so far. And now Hubbard fouled underneath.
Looks like Horvath. As I say, I can't see from here, but I've got him down for 3, but I could be wrong. Apparently not, because I'm sure he'd be yanked if he had 3 on him. Hubbard's going to the line. This will be the 3rd time he's going to the line.
Well, so far, Bob, I think Rocky Point has to be pretty pleased with their position. You're playing an undefeated team on their home court, and you're only a few points behind this point in the game.
Absolutely.
Hubbard's been good from the line, 2 for 2. 24-20 Hurricanes. And stolen by Mensch. Takes it all the way and scores. Rock Mensch making it 26-20. And now a technical foul is called on Todd Burke, and he's out of the game. I'm sure you saw that on camera. A very sorry display of sportsmanship by Todd Burke, who just came into the game. First, as you saw, after that basket, I'm sure he was rather disgusted about the play. He sort of kicked the ball with his knee, kind of like a soccer player would, to the official, who gave him a technical for that, which he thought was uncalled for. And then Burke apparently got the ball and then threw it to the ref in a harsher manner, which got him ejected. And then he saw he made an obscene gesture to the official. He was already gone, and then kicked the ball again on his way out. So surely he got his money's worth out of that ejection.
He sure did.
But a very, very poor display of sportsmanship. And
It'd be interesting to see how many shots they get.
yeah, certainly with the way he was behaving, the locker room's the best place for him for the rest of the game.
It could very well be 2 technicals, in which case they shoot 4 shots. I don't know.
And the sorry thing about this is that it's going to hurt his team a lot more than anything else.
Very much so.
What was a fairly competitive game could break open pretty good here if Donahue can make some of these free throws. Well, as I mentioned, Bob, there was a blatant technical call over at Rocky Point on Horvath, who fouled Ford very harshly after a basket.
Yes, he is getting 2 more.
Yeah, I'm sure the emotions on these teams are a little strong towards one another, and I really couldn't understand Burke's reaction, though, myself. After that, he wasn't really involved in the play, and he just came in off the bench himself, so it wasn't like he's been competing for the whole game even, and now he's not going to compete anymore today, certainly.
He went 1 for 4.
So Donahue, normally a good free throw shooter, goes just 1 for 4.
I was kind of surprised the way Hubbard's been shooting his foul shots. He was 6 for 6. I kind of thought they might send him to the line.
Yeah, usually a team has a designated shooter for those situations, and Donahue is the Hurricanes man, so regardless of how Hubbard was shooting, he got the shots. Went 1 for 4, 27-20 Hurricanes. Didn't hurt the Eagles as much as it could have. Now Mitch with the jumper. It's good. 3-point shot. Rock Mitch.
When we get a moment, I want to tell you what Mensch has been doing lately.
30-20. Now steal. Holloman lays it in. 32-20.
And all of a sudden, it's breaking it open.
The Hurricanes riding the emotion of the moment.
Rocky Point call timeout, perhaps.
10th straight points by Westhampton Beach. It was 22-20. Now it's 32-20. Good play by Horvath as he was boxed in the corner to throw that ball for a Hurricane player. Let's see how the Eagles react to that. Jump shot, no good. Rebound is no good, but Foster, following up the miss by Cobb, breaks the 10-0 run by the Hurricanes, 32-22, 1:20 to go in the half.
Mensch is wide open over there. Now he's... Holloman is trying to do a little too much dribbling today.
Hard to dribble through a zone, too. You would rather pass around the zone or through a zone, not dribble through it. Horvath is no good. Rebound is knocked out of bounds. Going to be a foul on Rocky Point on Colin Cobb.
Just want to mention Mensch. First 4 league games, he was averaging 7 points a game. He had 28 points, no 3-point throws. The last 4 league games, he's thrown in 48 points, a 12-point average, and in those 4 games, he's hit for 7 times from trifecta land. He's turned into an offensive threat.
Missed free throw on the 1-and-1, saved by the Hurricanes. Hubbard from the foul line. Rebound, Horvath. And stolen by Hubbard. Nice play by the senior.
Hubbard's made several plays like that when they tried to lob those passes in deep. Ford's wide open in the corner.
Nice play by Rocky Point to knock that ball away. Unfortunately, they knocked it off of each other out of bounds. 26 seconds in the half. Hurricanes holding for the last shot. 10 seconds. Mitch, side jump is no good. Rebound to Hubbard. Shot blocked by Foster. And it'll go if it counts. Or it'll count if it goes. Let me get that straight, but well up the mark at the buzzer. So we have come to the end of a first half in which Rocky Point was pretty well staying with the Hurricanes till the tail end of the half, when good defensive pressure by the Hurricanes helped them pull away a 10-0 run late in the half. When the score was 22-20, Westhampton Beach opened it up to 32-20. Rocky Point got the last 2 points of the half. So the halftime score is Westhampton Beach 32, Rocky Point 22. And now the cheerleaders are coming out. Let me run their names by here. We're going to be with them for a moment. The cheering team captains are Andrea Dallaire, Heather Schwab, and Tony Scudolero. Other members of the squad, and hopefully I'll pronounce these names mostly correctly, will be Carrie Gray, Nicole, I'm guessing, McCready, Jen Lindow, Kim Beekman, Stacy Helmer, Kelly Bush, Stephanie Lindsay, Dorothy Michael, Mary Lee, Candy Neubauer, Tamara Durella, Deidre Sasoro, Denise Vanel, Jessica Music during that.
I saw this routine last week, and these girls put on quite a show. Did you mention their coach?
No, perhaps you'd like to do that.
Well, Joan Hudson. Yeah, I used to know. She used to work in the same bank I did.
Cheerleaders perform, right, Paul?
That's his favorite part. There's no doubt about that.
So we've come to halftime here from Westhampton Beach. Halftime score, Westhampton Beach 32, Rocky Point 22. And we'll be back with more right after these messages. And here we are at halftime here at Westhampton Beach High School. Going to have a few words here with some of the members of the hoop troop, getting pretty well known in the area, and we're going to have a couple people talking for them. And you are?
Daniel Stradamar.
All right, and you are?
Ian Levy.
All right, and how long has the group been around?
We've been together strong up around 2.5 to 3 years. It started around 3 years ago. Just 4 or 5 seniors that year got together and started cheering for the JV. The varsity wasn't too good back then, and then it just caught on, and now it's pandemonium, basically.
Yeah, it seems like you're getting a lot of notoriety lately. How do you feel about your recent fame?
I'm pretty good. Probably the highlight of our career was last year at Stony Brook, I'd say. We went nuts. Quentin Brooks and Stella's King. Stella's King.
I know when you guys were over at Miller Place the other day for a game over there, they had their own little cheering section, kind of trying to give you some competition. How did that go?
First half, it was kind of close. When the game was kind of close, but as usual, the Hurricanes took control in the second half, and that's all there was to it. They sat down, and we're the original hoop troop. So people at Miller Place, why don't you come on over here next Tuesday and we'll have a real showdown? Yeah! We're the real troop, and we're going to get a cheer for you right now on 3. Hoop troop! Hoop troop on 3! 1, 2, 3! Hoop troop!
a couple more things now. Can anybody be a member of the Hoot Troop or any qualifications?
Anybody who has no self-respect. We all have no self-respect and a big heart, and they're from Westhampton. That's about it. That's right.
Who comes up with the chants and cheers?
We all come up with it. Every game, something new comes up with. Everybody. Youngsters, elders, everyone comes up. We all contribute.
So who knows? You're 100 members now. By the end of the season, you could just take over the world.
We'll be around 300 strong again in Stony Brook. We're winning the county championships. Great.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, guys. And I'm sure we'll hear you more in the second half. All right. And now, after this break, we'll be back for the start of the second half. And welcome back to Westhampton Beach High School. This is Cablevision Sports High School Game of the Week on Channel 27 for Connery Bay Television, your East End High School Sports Connection. Ed Zabrowski along with Bob Burns. And Bob, you have a guest here. Maybe you'd like to do a quick little interview.
Yeah, well, I've got the coach of the Westhampton cheerleaders here, and apparently one of our captains couldn't make it tonight. You want to tell us about it real quick?
Well, actually, she could make it, but we're having a pre-practice, and as you probably noticed, we're really a sport as well as a cheerleading team. And she hurt her neck and couldn't perform tonight, and that's Heather Schaub.
Okay. Now, very easy, see?
Play underway, second half. Hurricanes with a 32-22 lead. Hurricanes, the first basket of the third quarter.
Right. Mensch made it. He's got 9 points now. As I say, he's becoming a scoring threat. And he just made the foul. It's just, Westhampton was only charged with 3 fouls the whole first half. Very unusual, the hustling defense that they play.
Exactly right. When you play pressure defense, many times you do get called for personals, but knowing how to play it well, you can stay out of some of that foul trouble. You know the line you can't go over. Foul on the shot. Ryan Horvath to the line for the Eagles. Maybe as time allows you, Bob, you can throw in some of the first half scorers.
Yeah, Holloman led the scoring in the first half. He had 12 points. Hubbard had 8, 6 of them from the foul line. Mensch had 7, and Donahue had 5. Ford was scoreless.
2 out of 2 for Horvath, 34-24. Hurricanes with a 10-point lead. Matching their biggest of the game. And there's a steal by Schmidt. Gets the ball for the Hurricanes.
That was a bad pass by Holloman again. Very unusual. Last game, as I said, he was almost turnover free.
Donnie the jumper, no good. Rebound to Foster. 6'8", calls player on the court. Play's been like that some. We've seen turnovers followed by turnovers many times as well. Both teams doing a good job clogging up the passing lanes. Three-pointer, air ball by Horvath. Mensch with the rebound. So I don't know if you can call it a rebound if you don't hit the rim.
I tell you, Ford and Holloman put a lot of pressure on the outside of that zone. When they try to pass over, and Hubbard picks off a lot of those lob passes in there.
Hurricanes work the perimeter. Donahue with the three. 37-24. And that's Horvath answering with a jumper at the other end. 37-26 Hurricanes. That was Sally Hudson, was it, Bob?
Joan Hudson.
Joan Hudson, I'm sorry. Who handles the Hurricane cheerleaders.
I tell you, Donahue only had 5 points in the first half, and I was very, that's a charge. Oh, sure looked like a charge.
Foul called on Mensch.
I was very appreciative of the fact that Donahue is the high point scorer, averaging almost 18 points a game. He only had 5 points, but he wasn't forcing his shots. I think probably Ray's told him during halftime to look for the basketball.
And Foster missing an easy shot. Now the ball's in the lane. Taken by Donahue. Mensch in the front court.
Ford wide open.
Yep, finally he's seen, and he scores. Took a while for Holloman to find him, but once he did, it was an easy basket for Ford. 41-26, 15-point lead for the Hurricanes, their biggest of the game. would be Westhampton Beach basketball.
Foster's limping. He went to the sideline and replaced. I think he might have hurt his ankle.
Yeah, Mark McNamara, number 20, who saw action in the first half, back in the Eagle lineup. Donahue trying to hit Hubbard down low, deflected out of bounds by the Eagles.
Foster was the team's high scorer in the first half. He had 6 points.
You can hear the always vocal hoop troop in the background. Glad we can have them on.
Another
time
bad
for
pass
some of
by
them for a
Holland.
few moments. Nice shot by Lennon. Good form in that jump shot. 41-38 Hurricanes.
Hurricanes may be hard-pressed to keep their defensive average tonight. They've been giving up 39 points something a game. It's up to 28 already. Nice pass.
And Hubbard pushed in the short jumper. 43-28 Hurricanes. And again, pressuring the ball are the Hurricanes. And that was really a pass that turned out to be a shot as it rimmed the basket. And now Horvath just loses the grip on it. Run out of bounds though by the Hurricanes.
Boy, I tell you, Race is stamping his foot over there. He's very annoyed with all these turnovers tonight. You know, when he was at Eastport, he was a possession-type coach. He's turned his boys loose this year on the press. But he used to keep that ball, and nice pass.
Nice pass from Cobb down low to Horvath, who laid it in. 43-30.
Horvath is turning out to be his team's top scorer tonight.
Yeah. And as you mentioned, Bob, a race off the bench from that one, too, as the player got wide open. Doesn't like to see that. Holloman, it's going to be an
Charge.
offensive foul. No basket.
That's his second.
Horvath with the jumper is good. Horvath showing a nice touch on the jump shot today.
He's got 8 points in this period alone. Team's got 10. He's got 8 of them.
43-32 Hurricanes. .320 left, third quarter. Mitch, three-pointer. Rebound, Horvath doing it at both ends for the Eagles. Schmidt to Horvath. Lennon. And Cobb's jumper way off the mark. Holloman looking for Donahue. And he gets it to Hubbard. Nearly quite a play there. And Donahue threw a no-look pass over his shoulder. Got in the hands of Hubbard. Got fouled as he shot. And we'll go to the line for...
It could very well have been another turnover.
Yeah.
Lucky.
I don't know if he knew Hubbard was there. He just threw it in that proper direction, and it went off a Rocky Point hand, looked like, into Hubbard's hand, and really turned out to be an amazing play.
Oh, he missed. He was 6 for 6 from the line.
Well, just like in life, Bob, I guess nothing's perfect. And 1 out of 2 for Hubbard. They can get 44-32, 12-point Hurricane lead, just under 3 minutes in the quarter. And Donahue right there with the steal. Holloman in and out. Rebound to Lennon. Ahead, Horvath. And he's fouled from behind by Mensch on the shot.
3 fouls on Mensch all in this period.
Horvath has been carrying the Eagle offense this game and playing well at the defensive end as well, and he'll go to the line for 2 shots.
Westhampton hasn't had any substitutions yet. There comes the first one. DeMarco's going to come in for Mensch, I'm sure.
.22 senior John DeMarco, as you mentioned, Bob, replacing Mensch in the lineup.
DeMarco is a 5'8" senior. He's only got 12 points the entire season. So he give him a few minutes out there, but he's not really an offensive threat.
And now, amazingly, Bob, I was just going to say we haven't had a timeout all game, but there it is, 2:40 left to go, third quarter. Rocky Point takes the timeout. Hurricanes with a 44-33 lead.
You know, Westhampton has got a well-balanced team. Any of them can reach double figures. In their 14 games, Donahue and Hubbard have been in double figures 12 times apiece. Ford and Hallman have been in double figures 8 times apiece. And Mensch has now had 6 double-figure games, including the last 4 in a row. So he's really becoming an offensive threat, too.
How many points has Ford had today?
Ford's only had 1 basket.
And that's pretty amazing because the last time they played at Rocky Point, he had a triple-double of 26 points, 14 rebounds, 10 steals. He's been very quiet today.
Well, they don't seem to be looking for him. He's been seems to be free in the corner once in a while, and they've missed him on several occasions.
Well, it seems like the jump shots from the corners are just wide open if the Hurricanes wish to take them, but they've been passing them up for the most part. Mensch has taken a couple, and Donahue, I think, has taken 1 or 2, but that's been about it. McNamara on the rebound, missed. Donahue with the rebound. 1 out of 2 from the line, 44-33.
Ford was open that time.
And ball deflected out of bounds by Lennon. It'll remain Hurricane ball.
DeMarco's open.
And he scores.
Hubbard's having a big game. When we were here last week, I think he only had 5 points, something like that.
46-33 Hurricanes. Horvath, and he scores again. Nice pass from Lennon to Horvath on the baseline, who just went in for the short jump shot.
Horvath has got 11 points in this period alone.
A Holloman jumper rattles around and goes through. Friendly roll off the rim for Lamar Holman. 48-35 Hurricanes.
All 5 Westhampton starters have scored this period.
And now, Bob, I think they're just trying to feed the high hand. Horvath getting the ball again and scoring again. I don't think he's missed a shot this quarter.
Got 13 points this period. And Hallman has another turnover.
Down low to Charlie Cobb, who scores. Eagles trying to claw their way back into this game, down by just 9 now, 48-39. Another steal. Nice lead to Cobb, who scores.
They've already scored more points in this game than they scored in the first game against Westhampton.
Yeah, they had 39. You're right, Bob. The first game, it's only the third quarter. 48-41. Rocky Point making a game of it once again. Surprised Grace hasn't called a timeout here to try and slow the momentum down at Rocky Point, but he's hoping his team can just play its way through it. 20 seconds to go. The third quarter. They're going to hope for 1 shot.
Rocky Point's already got 41 points, and Westhampton has usually been only been giving up 39.8 per game.
Donahue pass from the outside. No good. Rebound to Cobb as the period ends. So it looked like the Hurricanes were on the verge of blowing this game out as they had a 15-point lead, Bob. The Eagles have come back in these last moments of the third quarter and now trail by just 7 after 3 quarters, 48-41.
Well, Westhampton's been steady throughout. They've scored 16 points in all 3 quarters.
And if you think that the camera work today has been an even higher quality than usual, it might be because Paul is a graduate, in fact, of Westhampton Beach High School. I knew you'd like me to bring that up, Paul. Paul, were the cheerleading squads this big or this many members when you were in school? Yeah. I heard you tried out for the squad one year, Paul, no? Because nobody would go out with you. You figured you'd have a chance for a date or something, no? Fourth quarter about to begin. Ed Zabrowski along with Bob Burns here from Westhampton Beach High School. Cambridge and Sport High School game of the week on Channel 27. Fox Television, your East End High School Sports Connection. 48-41 Hurricanes, and now 48-43 as Horvath again scores, Bob. He must have shot the last 20 points for them. He's been on fire, leading his comeback. Donahue for three. Pete Donahue. Big basket for the Hurricanes, trying to stop the Rocky Point momentum.
That's his second three-pointer of the day. Gives him 22 on the season.
51-43. Hurricanes now steal by Mitch, who's back in the lineup for Marco.
They've thrown that wide-open press against them, and just like against Shoreham, opposition has a lot of trouble with that.
Ford with the jump shot, no good. Rebound back into Ford's hands, and he misses again. Rebound comes to Schmidt.
Oh, boy. Donahue inadvertently swung his head around and got Forster right across the chin.
And is there a foul call there? No foul call.
No, there was no foul. It was strictly inadvertent. He just twisted his head around and came up under his chin.
I'm sure a lot of players, when they foul and feel they're inadvertent too, but they call them anyway, so. And deflection by Metz, taken by Hubbard. Up court now to Ford, who scored. Tyrone Ford taking it 53-43 Hurricanes.
That's the beauty for Hurricanes. All five boys, they put the ball in the hoop.
Which makes it good because then it's hard to defend one player, particularly, as I mentioned, Ford had a big game from last time these teams faced. Hasn't had to do a lot today, yet Rocky Point, I think Westhampton Beach is winning. Now a steal from behind, Ford knocking the ball away. Heilman to Ford, tripped up. Going to be a foul call on Rocky Point.
McNamara. And they're going to call a timeout. Rocky Point calling a timeout.
Jim Gilbert, their coach, signaling for the timeout. 6:24 to go in the game.
Well,
with a 10-point lead, 53-43.
I think this might be a good thing for Westhampton to have a little trouble. They've been winning so easily. I think they need a tough game to toughen them up for the playoffs. In fact, they've been kind of on cruise control the whole season long, and somebody's got to give them a couple good tests before they hit the playoffs.
That's one thing I noted, the game that the Hurricanes had at Miller Place. The Panthers had the lead on them early, and Coach Ray's commented in the newspapers that, what you said, Bob, that, you know, they needed something like that to get them going a little bit, and let them know that it's not going to be this easy all the time, because that can give you a false sense of security as well.
And last week I made the point that Westhampton hardly uses its bench at all. Eighth grader Jermaine Howland and DeMarco, about the only two boys that have been used hardly at all. And that's all well and good, except for the fact that sometimes in playoff time, things get called a little tougher, and if some of the boys got in foul trouble, Westhampton might be in a little trouble.
Good point, Bob. As you see, Kevin Hubbard inside, scoring 55-43. Hurricanes continue their pressure. Ford knocks the ball away from behind. Donahue back to Ford. He's fouled on the drive. And will go to the line for two shots.
Actually, on the bench, Jermaine Howman, as I mentioned, the 6'3" eighth grader, he's only had 24 points the whole season. He's the top scorer from the bench. DeMarcus only had 12 points the whole season. So you can see that the starters have carried the load right from the start of the season all the way through.
57-43 Hurricanes.
That press did it. Nice pass.
Nice pass from Horvath to McNamara, who was fouled underneath.
Ford's first foul.
So McNamara will get 2 shots. 5:50 left. 14-point Hurricane lead, 57-43. And we'd like to invite you each week right here on Channel 27, 6:30 to 7:30 live, to watch the Hot Stove League Plus, where myself and Bob and other people will talk about the world of sports, and also take your calls and have a trivia question for you as well. It's every Monday Night Live, 6:30 to 7:30 right here on Channel 27, Peconic Bay Television. 57-45 after the 2 free throws. Hurricanes with a 12-point lead.
Nice pass.
And Donahue converts.
Nice pass, Hubbard.
59-45. Horvath with the ball, takes to the basket, throws up a shot. Offensive foul will be called as Hubbard was run down by Horvath. It looked like he wanted to pass the ball, Horvath. Couldn't find anybody. Ended up taking a shot and kind of got caught in between. That's the first bad thing he's done all half, I think. And now we'll see how Horvath, and that time it's going to be a blocking foul on Mitch.
That's his 4th. You may see DeMarco in again. Although at this stage of the game, it hardly makes any difference. Telegraph that pass.
Donahue, Holloman, and he scores. 61-45, Hurricanes, 16-point lead, their biggest of the game. Knocked away from behind by Holloman, gets the return pass from Mitch to Ford, knocked away by Cobb, but there is a foul call. I know the Eagles, Bob, have been looking for some foul calls because the Hurricanes have been knocking the ball away from behind repeatedly. They haven't got any calls along those lines. Whether they deserve them or not, I really don't know. But that's been a particularly favorite ploy of the Hurricanes, knocking the ball away from behind once the ball carrier passes them.
Westhampton only committed 3 fouls the entire first half. They've only committed 5 this half. So Rocky Point's had a lot more called on them. Ford missed both.
Lennon with the ball for the Eagles to Horvath. Side jumper is an air ball.
Oh boy, the troops are going to give it to him.
Pass batted around.
And Holloman not only made a bad pass, but he also commits a bad foul.
Looked like he got fouled twice in that play. What they call one of them at least.
Finally, they're on 1-1.
Yeah, we didn't mention the player who got fouled in the lineup right now, Alex Spice, a sophomore, number 23, who got fouled.
The only sophomore on the Rocky Point roster. He's sure a small one.
And side jump by Lennon after that miss on the 1-and-1. Hurricanes in the penalty situation.
Nice save by Cobb that time.
61-47.
Ford is wide open. Look at him over there. Wide open. So is Mitch.
Just one pass, and Donahue tied up. It's going to be a hell ball. Possession arrow favoring Rocky Point. Just doesn't seem like the Hurricanes have been passing the ball all that crisply today, Bob.
No, every once in a while they come up with a nice pass, but there's been far too many turnovers.
And I don't know. Actually, the possession arrow, I was reading that wrong. That was the bonus arrow pointing to Rocky Point. So the possession arrow
Wide open.
The Hurricanes. Yep.
There he is, still wide open. No, they miss him continually.
I don't know if they're missing him or they don't see him or whatever. But a couple passes. Donahue being double teamed. They have him pinned in that corner. Ball knocked away, stolen by the Eagles, and now Hubbard has to foul as Lennon was going to the basket. I'm sure that has to be frustrating. Coach raced a lot.
Yeah, he's called Hallman over.
Ball moving. Even the hoop troop is getting into the act with some coaching comments.
Yes, they're telling them look for Ford, too. I think Ford's a little disgusted.
3:38 left in the game. Lennon to the line, 1-1. And he rattles the first one through. Hurricanes still not quite comfortably ahead where they can feel they have this secured. 2 free throws by Lennon, 61-49. Hurricanes 12-point lead.
Yeah, look at Mensch. Wide open. Ford's wide open.
Eagles now
Ford.
trying to double team the ball whenever they can. Hubbard to Ford. And sarcastic here from the
There
hoop
they
troop.
clapping because they finally passed the ball to Ford. There's Holloman wide open.
Disgusted as well. Holloman scoring. Ford seemed like a little disgusted. He got it, just gave it back up again. Like, guys, I've been here all day. Where have you been?
Yeah.
Oh, pass knocked away. Coming to Cobb, who scores, and he's fouled. Charlie Cobb taking that deflected pass to the basket. Foul, I believe, was on Mensch.
No, I think it was on Hubbard.
Okay, Hubbard, I saw a 4 go up, but we'll go with 42. Kevin Hubbard on the foul. 2:58 to go in the game. And Cobb completes the three-point play, 63-52, 11-point Hurricane lead. Donahue in the front court. All the way down to Ford. Who scores? Tyrone Ford for the Hurricanes, 65-52. Slides in the front court. Horvath. Double team. Stolen by Mensch, knocked away by Slice, who will be called for the personal.
Good foul. Mensch probably was going in for a 2-pointer.
Eagles not in the penalty yet, so it'll be Hurricane ball underneath.
And it's a timeout going to be called by Rocky Point again.
2:27 to go. How close is, I know Donahue's getting close to the all-time school record. He had, last I could check, not counting the last 2 non-league games, he had 1,053 up through the last week's games, not counting, there was a Sable game, I think a Bayport game that were non-league games that I didn't get, so he was like 70 points short at that time.
Well, he's got 15 tonight, so which games did you miss? I can tell you.
Sayville and I think a Bayport game I saw, Mr. Gale. I would guess if he had made it close tonight, they would have stopped the game probably.
Yeah, I imagine so.
All-time school record being held by Greg Clark, a 1988 graduate of Westhampton.
See, Donahue had 8 points against Sayville, and then against Bayport he had 19.
27.
And 15
so
tonight.
That gives him, 42. So he's still another game or so he might need to make it.
Yeah. He's only been out of double figures in 2 games this year.
And one of them, I guess, the Sable game you just mentioned where he had the 9 points. So
his high is 27 one night against Stony Brook, non-league. Of course, he was all-league, all-county last year, and plenty of schools were looking at him, primarily Ivy League, I understand. He's got good marks.
Helping last year lead the Hurricanes to the county small schools championship.
Ford was open
pursuing
again.
The ball. Have to force some turnovers. Donahue scored all alone.
Nice pass.
67-52.
Ford's got 8 points in this period all of a sudden.
Hurricanes with 15-point lead, under 2 minutes to go. And that's an over and back call on the Eagles as Fife lost the ball in the backcourt. Or lost it into the backcourt and was the first to touch it in the backcourt.
Well, 2 minutes to go. 15-point lead. Ford's wide open. Look at him. Look at him. Look at him. Nobody even looked at him.
If Mensch would just turn,
He's open again.
Wide open on the baseline, but does not look.
Mensch doesn't look down there.
And Hurricanes is trying to play keep away. And the hoop shoe growling their tees. I guess they want to say it's time to lock it up or lock up a victory.
Yeah.
125 to go. They make a pretty good rhythm section, I think, if you had some, drummer
Castanets or something like that, yeah. And we got a sub finally coming in here, Cregan.
I guess one thing we can say, I guess a lot of them are of driving age, or they have their parents' car and they don't know it.
Tommy Cregan coming in place Mensch.
Tom Cregan, number 10, in the game for the Hurricanes, replacing Brock Mensch. In and out on the 1-and-1. Horvath in the front court to fight. Nice pass work. Forster misses. And easy shot. Ford, nice tip. They got it.
Nice play. Nice pass by Ford that time. Great pass.
69-52. Final minute of play. Forster all underneath. And he scores.
They want him to go over 70, I guess. Oh, bad pass, Holloman. Gee.
Restolen back by Hubbard. To Holloman. 3-on-1 break. Behind the back to Ford, who misses. And Ford battles for the rebound. And scores. Tyrone Ford having a strong fourth quarter for the Hurricanes. 71-64. 20 seconds left. They're stolen by Holloman. Tries to grab it. Misses the shot.
Showtime.
Cregan to Ford. Who scores? 73-64. Horvath all the way in and misses the shot. Rebound missed at the buzzer by Fife, and that will do it. So the Hurricanes challenged occasionally in this game, but ultimately pulling away for a 19-point victory here at home against the visiting Rocky Point Eagles.
Yeah, they had 16 points each of the first three quarters, and they broke it open. They poured in 25 points down there in the last 8 minutes.
So the final score of the game, Westhampton Beach 73, Rocky Point 54, and we're going to be back for some post-game activities right after these messages. This is Television Sports High School Game of the Week on Channel 27, Peconic Bay Television. Talking right now with Rich Race, the Westhampton Beach basketball coach, and Rich, just another win in an undefeated season, I guess, huh? Though, I guess, I don't mean to be take it that lightly, because obviously any game, you never know sometimes. You go out there, you got to play the game, and you never know what could happen. When you played them over at Rocky Point earlier in the season, you beat them rather handily, 60-39, so a lot of times I'm sure, even if you don't want the players to think that, they're probably thinking, well, we handle them pretty easy, so maybe we don't, we can coast a little bit, and it hasn't been, I guess, the toughest of league seasons either. I guess Miller Place gave you a pretty tough game over at their place for a little while, at least before you pulled away. First, this game, how you felt about today's game, and then just overall how the team's been doing this season.
Well, I feel pressure when I play Rocky Point because it's my hometown. And I used to coach soccer at Rocky Point High School. So some of those kids played soccer for me. And they're probably the tallest team in the county. And I think they present a lot of problems because, when you practice during the week, you're playing against your second team. And, we don't have that kind of height on the bench. And they have a 6'8" kid, a 6'5" kid, 6'4" kids. And we were trying to throw over them. Against most teams, we could throw over them. And I think today we didn't use the bounce pass, and we weren't hitting the weak side enough down the block. If we looked weak side a little more, I think we could have scored even more points.
Yeah, it seemed like some of the passing wasn't as crisp as maybe you've seen or whatever. I mean, you see him all the time, and we only see him occasionally. So,
well, Rocky Point, I think, plays that 1-2-2 zone very well. They're going to be in the playoffs this year, and they're tough. You know, I think they're the second or third best team in our league, and in their height, I'm saying it again, but that presents a lot of problems.
One thing they always say, you can't coach height. You either have it or you don't.
That's what basketball's all about. It's like football with the big guys, you know, basketball's the same thing.
Well, certainly your team has had an excellent season so far, undefeated. I think brings you today's victory to 9-0 in league play and 15-0 overall.
Yeah.
So you have to be very pleased with the way things have been going this year, though.
Well, I broke it down to 3 parts of the season. A non-league season, we played some tough teams. We beat Transit Tech from Brooklyn. Last year they were the New York State Class B public school champions in the city. And we also beat West Babylon, who's going to probably win League 4.
Right.
And we beat them by 20. And we also beat Stony Brook by about 30. And they're probably going to win League 8. You know, them or Pearson. So, you know, we played a pretty good non-league schedule. And then the league, we've been blowing teams out. But, you know, we keep the kids up. You know what I mean? I think we had the Bayport game. We were kind of flat. But that was like on a Saturday afternoon. We play hard. You know, the kids play hard.
Is it hard to get the players motivated when they have been fairly dominant in most of their games?
I think for the seniors, it's hard for them to get up. The juniors, it's like a new experience, you know. But the seniors, it's hard because you know they've been doing nothing but winning the last 2 years. And even when they were sophomores, we were 10-8, and they were in every game. And you know they've had I don't know what 45-12 in the last 3 years. So I think the seniors have it a lot tougher.
One thing we noticed today, the first game you have at Rocky Point, Tyrone Ford was your leading scorer, 26 points. And you were winning today, and he really didn't contribute too much offensively except for down the stretch when the game was getting pretty well decided. You have a team that has a lot of good balance. It's hard to focus on one player. You can't just say, well, Donahue's the guy we got to stop, or Hubbard's the guy we got to stop, or Ford's the guy we got to stop, or Mensch or Holloman. You know, any of those guys can hurt you at a given time.
Well, the thing about Pete Donahue that most people don't realize is that he plays the whole game. You know, he can pass, he can dribble, he plays defense, he rebounds, and he's the type of kid that's not going to say, I have to get 30. He pretty much goes into the game and says, you know, what do I have to do to win? And that's why I love coaching the kid, and I've always loved coaching him, because he can adapt the game to what's happening, box and 1 or a triangle and 2. And then the other kids, we have 4 kids that can score. You know, 4 of our 5 stars have scored over 20 in a game this year. And the 5th one is Brock, and Brock has scored, you know, quite a bit of points lately. So if we have 3 kids that are on, you know, the 5 of them have the attitude that it doesn't matter who scores. And I think that's why it's fun to coach this team.
It would seem that, you know, you put a lot of defensive pressure on the ball, yet you don't use a lot of substitution. So I would assume your players are in very good shape.
No, we're in good shape. We can go a little deeper in the bench. But today I don't think I subbed a lot because of, you know, the height. You know, my bench, you know, the guards, you know, we go from like 6'4" with Pete, 6'2" with Lamar, down to about 5'9", 5'8". And with the 1-2-2 with the trapping they were doing, I think a 5'9" guard would have a lot of trouble. And I think that's why Rocky Point's been blowing out some of the other teams in the league, because the guards can't throw over that trap. You know, and that's pretty much the reason why I went with those. Usually I sub more.
Yeah, and give Rocky Point, you know, some credit today. They hung in there pretty well. A couple of times looked like you were on the verge of blowing them out earlier, and then they came back, and Horvath played really well in that third quarter. He must have scored every point they had that quarter.
Yeah, he's a good shooter.
Yeah.
He's one of my former soccer players. He's a good kid, and he had a good game today.
Kind of mixed emotions at times. Obviously, you want your team to win, but you don't mind, as long as you're winning, I guess, to see some of your players that you like.
Well, a couple of them live right by me. And you know, it's funny coaching them.
Yeah.
You know, against them this time.
Yeah.
Coaching them, I used to coach them.
Now, as you look ahead the rest of the season, I don't know if this win clinches the league title for you or not, or a tie. Or
one more, and it clinches you know, a tie for the league. But Rocky Point plays Miller Place, and that game's a toss-up. So if Rocky Point beats Miller Place, it would be, and we win Thursday, it would be over.
So I'd say it's fairly no doubt that you'll be in the playoffs somewhere, just a matter of where, you know, your seeding will be, and you're the defending county small schools champ and undefeated this year. Does that put added pressure on you to remain undefeated? I mean, do the players think about that much? Can we go through the whole season undefeated, or are they trying to keep it in perspective, or are you trying to help them do that? Or?
This is probably the loosest bunch of kids I've ever coached in my life. Sometimes I wonder if they know they're 15-0. You know, Tyrone and Brock, I don't think they've asked me what's our record this year. I like that. You know, last year I had Quentin, and Quentin had his 95 average and was figuring out all the winning percentages and who we might play in the playoffs. And I think that's why my hair started falling out.
Very analytical player.
Yeah. He was a very bright kid. This year I have kids that they're fun kids. You know what I mean? And they have they're good kids, and they have fun, and they do what they want. I ask a lot from them, and they've made it fun. They made it a lot of fun.
Certainly, you're known as a defensive coach in your days at Eastport, and I brought that over to Westhampton Beach. Probably didn't like to see maybe Rocky Point get so many points today, a bit over your average, but your team was scoring pretty well, too.
You know, the kids want to score. You know what I mean? And, you know, we slowed it down a little bit in the fourth quarter, but we're still looking to attack. What we're doing, we weren't really, like, holding the ball like we usually did. We talked about this before the game. We wanted to spread the floor and look for each other and then try to attack the basket. And I wanted them to, you know, score tonight. They had the lead. The game was in hand. And have some fun.
Yeah, and one final thing before we go. We had a little talk at halftime with some of the members of the infamous Hoop Troop, which have been following the team around the last few years, and of course the players, you know, starting out as younger underclassmen going up into the junior and senior classes now, but that's to make you feel pretty good when they follow you around to particularly your away games and you have a vocal cheering section.
Well, we have this kid, Danny Stratomeyer, him, Ian Levy, a couple other kids. I don't know all the names, but they've been great. They go to away games, and we kind of like take over other gyms when we go. to Miller Place and Rocky Point, when we played them earlier away, we took over their gyms. And now I see my JV team up there, and they're 12-1 now, and my junior high team was 11-0, and a lot of them are up there. So, you know, it's like a little family.
I'm sure that makes you very welcome in these foreign gyms, the enemy territory, so to speak, when you bring your cheerleading people.
Well, I think in Rocky Point, Middle Place, we may have more fans than them when we play them. So a couple of times it almost seemed like we weren't even the enemy. We were like the home team. So. And they're loud. I mean, even when we don't have as many as the other school, we're louder than them. So
they make up for volume what they lack in quantity.
You know, but they never do anything bad. You know, they get to the borderline a couple of times, but they never really, you know, really make fun of the other kids. They never really, they never curse. You know, they never, you know, a couple of times they got to the line, you know, where it may be obnoxious, but they always back off.
They always know where to pull back a little bit. Yeah, which is good.
They have class. You know, they have sportsmanship. I've seen kids get hurt against that, you know, against us, and they'll give them a standing ovation. You know what I mean? That makes you feel good. It's just as much as the way they're cheering.
Yeah, definitely. And we'd like to thank you for your time now, and I wish you good luck the rest of the season. Perhaps we'll see you down the road there somewhere again, and have a good season. And thanks a lot for taking the time to be with us right now.
We like you guys.
All right. Rich Race, Westhampton Beach basketball coach, and we're going to be back with Bob in just one moment. Matter of fact, they're going to edit this so quick. Bob will be here in a moment, and it'll be like we didn't even have a commercial break, because we're not going to. And there we are. What do you know? Just like that. First Rich Race is by my side. Now Bob Burns is here. I didn't know you were that quick, Bob. You were just one quick blip, and you were here with me.
Yeah, you know, I'm pretty drab compared to you. You got one of your Conoseca sweaters on tonight.
Something either my sister or mother gave me for Christmas. I kind of like it, but, you know.
Well, colorful.
If I have as much luck as Louis did with his sweaters, I'll certainly keep it for a while. But we'll see. We'll see what happens in the rest of the season as far as that goes. But as far as the scoring for tonight, maybe we could run through that right now.
Okay, and as usual, Westhampton's scoring was extremely well balanced. Lamar Holman led the way. He had 8 field goals, 1 free throw, 1 trifecta for 18 points. Right behind him, Pete Donahue had 17 points, 7 field goals, 2 of them from three-point range, 1 foul shot, 17 points. Kevin Hubbard had a much better game than last week. He had 4 field goals. He was 7 for 8 from the foul line. He had 15 points. And Tyrone Ford, who was pretty quiet the first 3 periods, almost the invisible man as far as his teammates were concerned, he came up with 12 points in the 4th period, so he ended up the game with 14 points on 6 field goals, 2 free throws. And Brian Mensch had 4 field goals, 1 from three-point range for 9 points, 29 field goals, 11 free throws, 73 points, and they were 11 for 19 from the foul line. And for the other team, Rocky Point, the big gun was Ryan Horvath, who had a tremendous 3rd period. You couldn't miss in that 3rd period. He had 13 points in the 3rd period alone, ended up with 20 points. After that was a drop-off to Rob Lennon and Lucas Forster, the big 6'8". They both had 8 points. Mark McNamara had 6 points, and the other basket was by Devon Smith, who had 2 points. 22 field goals, 9 free throws, 54 points, and they were pretty good from the line. They were 9 for 12 from the free throw line.
So as far as the game goes, like we were saying earlier, a game where Westhampton Beach probably knowing they're going to win the game, and sometimes that can affect your play somewhat. Play a bit sloppy at times, a lot of turnovers on both sides, which isn't unusual for a Westhampton Beach opponent, though I'm sure Coach Race wasn't pleased to see as many of them on his own side.
Yeah, it was pretty sloppy. Every once in a while, Westhampton would come up with a nice pass and it looked like a beautiful play, but they had far too many turnovers tonight. I didn't hear all your interview, but I'm sure he wasn't too pleased with all the turnovers his team came up with.
Yeah, well, he was letting them, kind of play a bit, and he didn't seem too concerned about that, but certainly as they get further into the season and you play, especially in the playoffs, some quality opponents, you want to, tighten that up a bit. But tonight, I think he felt pretty comfortable with the game, even though Rocky Point was hanging in there pretty well.
Yeah, I think he says Half Hollow Hills is going to be pretty strong in B, and Amityville he thinks is down a little bit, but they can still be tough. So they could be the two teams who are going to give him trouble. As I suspected, Copaig has been moved up to an A school, so that would be one less hurdle for him to go. Though, of course, with trouble they're having at Copaig now, who knows?
Yeah, well, they've got their, act together again, the new coach at the Copaig school, and so they're going to play the rest of their schedule. So we'll see how that affects them as they go into the playoffs. But and Riverhead, of course, Riverhead, a B school, I believe, too, would be in that group as well. Yeah. And they've been kind of, winning their games, but they've been up and down inconsistent, and who knows how they're going to fare as far as playoff time
They played Rocky Point earlier in the season. They only beat them by 3 points. I think it was, you got your
66-62, it looks like,
yeah,
for 4 points.
So,
was that at Riverhead or Rocky Point?
I think that was at Rocky Point.
Yeah.
So, I think Riverhead's improved a lot since then. That was a non-league game early in the season, but might be a pretty good tip-off. Westhampton might be a little too much for them.
Well, we're going to have Riverhead on again against Comsawag. We're going to tape later this week. We're taping this on February 1st, a Tuesday, and the Riverhead game we're going to tape is on the 3rd, Thursday. So whenever they show this, whether it's back-to-back or before this, we'll see Riverhead again.
Yeah, well, I see Riverhead lost to West Babylon. That was a big defeat, so I think it pretty well kills any title hopes they had, but they're going to make the playoffs, so that's the main
and
as
thing
at this point.
Coach Race was saying, they played West Babylon non-league and beat them pretty handily, so just showing to show you how strong Westhampton Beach is.
Yeah, I think he's got 5 good, solid ball players. My only concern might be the bench. Right.
Okay, well, we'll see what happens. And staying out of foul trouble, of course, is going to be, like you say, important as far as they get to the playoffs. As far as players of the game goes, for Rocky Point, which will probably be the easier choice of the two, Ryan Horvath had an excellent game with his 20 points, was it he had, Bob?
20 points, yeah.
20 points, and played well on both ends of the court. And as far as Westhampton Beach goes, I guess we could choose from among several players. Any particular one? I'll let you choose that one.
Well, I tell you, last week we gave it to Holloman over Donahue. I think we give it to Donahue tonight.
Okay, so
Donahue had a good game the other week, but Holloman I thought was better. Holloman again topped the team in scoring, but he had quite a few turnovers.
Yeah.
So I think Donahue.
All right, so Pete Donahue will get a player of the game for Westhampton Beach. And before we close out today, of course, as always, we'd like to thank the athletic director here at Westhampton Beach, Pat Sapparo, for her help in getting us everything together that we needed for the telecast. And maybe take a little quick swing around the Jim Bob Dandy. Paul, baby. Yeah, there's Pat there as she's making her rounds. Familiar face to all of you around Westhampton Beach. A lot of banners here around the gym
over there for Danny Jiggett
at Westhampton Beach, and we're going to turn the camera around here. Paul, be so kind, and you can see the numerous banners the Hurricanes have had in different sports. And if you can pan around maybe to this other side, Paul, we can get to the all the way almost directly behind you here. This banner that Bob was mentioning. Danny Jiggett's a football player here. He probably was in track and field, too, I would guess.
Oh,
he had the size for that.
Yeah,
Many sports, basketball, too.
He played basketball.
But best known for football, of course. And,
he's captain at Harvard, you know.
Yeah.
And then he went on and played for the Chicago Bears, and now he's the sportscaster on one of the big networks.
Yep. Back in 1972, he graduated number 74.
I'm surprised they don't have one up there for Sean Farrell.
Yeah, well, that may be yet to come, perhaps. He's also going on to a professional career, so... That will do it here from Westhampton Beach High School. This has been Cablevision Sports High School Game of the Week on Channel 27 for Connick Bay Television, your East End High School Sports Connection. And let's see if I can finish this game before Paul cuts me off. We did the last game we did at Senator Rich's with East Hampton, and he just cut me off right at the end before I finished. He wouldn't have done that if you were there. I was with Collins.
Well, that's right. I did watch that game. He did. You kind of drifted off into the darkness.
And I was just about to say how much I appreciated and admired Paul's work, and he cut me off before I said it, so I'm not even going to say it now. So
okay.
Anyway, Ed Zabrowski, thanking you for watching, and we'll see you again next time. Final score once again was Westhampton Beach 73, Rocky Point 54.
League of Women Voters of the North household was kind enough to help set this meeting up with us, and I thank you very much for that, Blaine. Pardon me, you've been to a lot of my meetings, and I appreciate it. So thank you for setting this up. And the League of Women Voters, the situation with health care, as you know, many people, there's a debate going on right now in terms of is the system so bad that we have to go a whole new direction, or can we apply Band-Aids to the existing system? And that's part of the raging controversy that is going on with health care in this country today. And it's interesting, yesterday Senator Moynihan, our senior senator from New York, addressed about 1,000 people in the Crest Hollow Country Club in Nassau County, and 3 congressmen from Long Island attended. And it was very interesting because the senator, who's quite a historian, went through a little bit of the history. And, you know, originally, when the health care issue was first raised, was in 1935, when President Roosevelt was considering Social Security. And they were actually considering, at that point, doing a health care component at the time. But it was decided that maybe that was a little too much to bite off, that Social Security was a big enough thing to do. And so it got put aside. And then it got raised again under Harry Truman and under President Nixon, and right down the line. So as Senator Moynihan said yesterday, we've been talking about it for 60 years. It's time we did something about it. And it really looks like this is the year. And let me tell you why I think this is the year. Certainly, the pressures are there. President Clinton, whether you agree with this plan or don't agree with this plan, the fact of the matter is he had the guts to say it's time to settle this issue. And one of the reasons we have to resolve it, and I think we will do it this year, is because of the tremendous cost increases that we've seen. You know, we've seen health care costs increasing at 10 and 15% a year, except for last year. And a lot of people say, well, that was because market forces are holding down the price. And interestingly enough, I'm sure that's true. There's more competition, but also the fact that the president has raised this to the level where we are going to settle it, I think has also applied a pressure on a lot of people, insurance companies and others, in terms of holding down those increases. So the problem basically that we have is that as a nation, we are spending over $800 billion a year on health care costs. Now that represents about 13% of our entire gross domestic product. That means if you take all of the goods and services that we produce in the United States, 13% of it is health care, more than any other nation on this earth. And in fact, we have the best health care system in the world. It is the envy of the world. We produce products and medical procedures that other nations come and buy and manufacture and what have you. We are the envy of the world. The problem is that it's the best system in the world if you can afford it. And that's where the problems come in. Because as you know, there's been a lot of numbers standing about. Senator Moynihan yesterday was talking about 26 million people. Other figures show up to 36 million people who do not have any health care coverage at all. And another 60 million people who have inadequate health care coverage. And interesting enough, those 26 to 37 million Americans who don't have any health care coverage, these aren't the people on welfare. Those folks have Medicaid. The people who don't have the coverage are the working poor. These are people who work for small businesses, and they choose not to provide health care coverage, and in essence, they put the worker on her own to buy health care. And of course, the costs are astronomical. And with these increases, we're sort of pricing ourselves out of the market. And in fact, the projections are that if we did nothing and just let the existing system continue to grow, by the year 2000, it would eat up about 19 to 20% of the total gross domestic product from the 13% we're at now. Now, when you contrast us with other countries, Canada, for example, has a single-payer system, been in place for many years. It has its problems, but every system has its problems, as ours has its problems. And we ration health care through economics. They have some rationing in terms of what's available when. But the Canadians cover every Canadian, and they spend about 8% of their gross domestic product. We spend 13%. So clearly the feeling is it's time to move, and I'm convinced this is the year. Now what I expect to happen is this. Next week we go back into session. In fact, I suggest that all of you on Tuesday evening, the President will give the State of the Union message about probably 9 o'clock on Tuesday evening, the 25th. And now look for me, I intend to get there early so I get a good seat, so I should be in the audience. On the floor. But in any case, I suspect the President will talk about health care, he'll talk about crime, he'll talk about all those issues that he feels we must be doing this year, welfare reform and what have you. So you might want to watch that. But I'm convinced once we go into session starting next week, over the next several months, we will be reviewing the health care issue. And for example, there are a total of 6 programs before the Congress right now. The President's program, which Hillary Clinton did a tremendous amount of work on, this is the bill. It's over 1,300 pages that describe how the President's plan would work and what it would do. So, and of course, there are 5 other programs. This is the single-payer approach, which has been in Canada for quite a few years and in other European countries. It works. It has a history. I've been a co-sponsor of this for the last 3 years. In fact, 2 years longer than when the President, of course, presented his plan. I think it makes a lot of sense, and we'll talk about that. Then there are 4 other programs, and you have copies of sort of the rough comparison of those in the handout that you received. What I expect will happen is this. We pretty much know how the single-payer system works, so I don't expect a lot of hearings on that. The hearing process, where the Senate committees and the House committees that have jurisdiction over this bill will take the various pieces of the President's bill and have hearings on it. We'll have people from all over the country come in and say, I like this, I don't like that, here's what's wrong with this, you should change that. And so what will happen over the next several months is that the committees, each one taking the section of the bill that applies to their particular area of jurisdiction, and they will have the hearings and they will start with this and they will mark it up. Because that's normally what we do. When we pass the budget each year, we start with the 13 appropriations bills that the President presents to Congress. We mark them up. We change things. We add this, we take that out, depending on what we think as individual members we ought to be doing in terms of our particular areas of expertise. And for example, I'm on the House Armed Services Committee. I'm the only engineer on that committee, having for example, worked on the Grumman F-14 Tomcat, one of the major electronic units for 6 years of my life before I got involved in government. And so I'm on House Armed Services. So we get the Defense Authorization and Appropriations Bill, and we mark up the authorization bill in terms of what do we think the military should be doing in terms of the money they spend for the next fiscal year. So we all have our areas of jurisdiction that we work. So what should happen is we will spend several months having hearings, marking up the bill. And then sometime probably in the June-July time frame, maybe the October time frame, we will end up having a series of votes on what we should do to change this nation's health insurance system. Because the health care system is great in terms of the health care. The problem is how the money gets handled and what impact that has on what benefits you're entitled to under your particular program. So what will happen is we'll have a series of votes later this year, and at that point, I'm convinced that we will put together sufficient votes to, in essence, make a major change in the existing health care system that we have right now. And of course, that healthcare system has gotten to be very, very expensive, and we just feel we have to do something about it in order to change the system, provide better quality healthcare for the people of the nation, and to, in essence, bring down the cost. And the name of the game, all 6 bills, their purpose is cost containment. We cannot afford to have a system that's growing like topsy in terms of cost as we've had for the past many years. So I think a change is in order. Now, what should happen is, to say, most likely what will happen is there's really only 2 bills that have a major chance of making it. The other 4 bills, in fact, if you look at the handout, you'll see there's the President's bill, and then there's the Wellstone bill. That's the single-payer system, similar but not identical to what's in Canada right now. And the other 4 bills that other senators and House members have presented, probably a lot of what they're interested in doing would be folded into the President's bill. So ultimately, we'll be voting on probably 2 or 3 bills at most, but we're guaranteed on the single-payer approach to have a separate vote by the leadership on that particular bill. So, and in a way of just a little bit of explanation, since it's really the President's bill as modified by Congress versus the single-payer approach, let me say a few words about both systems, and then I'd like your comments, because clearly the reason I'm having these 10 town meetings is because there will be a series of votes on amendments in terms of what changes to make to the President's bill, and I need your advice. You know, I represent 580,000 people from Hauppauge, from Montauk, and Orient Point, and clearly I need direction. I'm a representative. My job is to do the best I can to represent you, and I can't do that unless I know what your concerns are, and that's why I'm pleased so many of you have turned out today and will share with me your views of what we ought to be doing. But in the way of just a quickie approach, the President's bill basically calls for establishing really 3 systems. The Veterans system, the VA system as we've known it for many years, stays intact. Medicare, which is a program that was put in place in 1965 that provides health care for senior citizens and many disabled people in this country, that essentially is maintained under the President's program, and prescriptions are added, and also home long-term nursing care. And then everyone else would be in the universal system that the President presents in his package, as modified, as we will, by Congress. And of course, if you're a senior veteran, you have the opportunity to stay in the VA system, go with Medicare, or go with the universal system if you choose. If you're a senior and not a veteran, then you can choose between staying in Medicare or going with, as improved with prescriptions, or going with the President's plan. On the single-payer approach, it's really 2 systems. There's the VA system and everyone else. It's sort of, you might say, an extension of Medicare in a way for all. Okay? And so that's basically what the 2 packages will do in terms of your choices. And of course, under the President's plan, he envisions that in most areas there will be alliances set up, at least 3, so that you'll be able to choose which one you want. So probably what you would do is you'd look up the alliances, you'd say, well, where's my doctor? Where's my hospital? And as it turns out, I'm under the impression under the President's plan that doctors can join any of the alliances, so you would probably most likely choose an alliance based on where's your doctor, because most of us are like that. We like to stick with people we know. And under either plan, the President's plan or the single-payer plan, in either case, you choose your doctor, you choose your hospital. What we're talking about here is not telling you where to go to get your health care. What we're talking about is who handles the money. Because right now, you know, originally the situation was you had a problem, you went to the doctor. He took care of you, you paid him, boom, that was it. You and the doctor, or you and the hospital. But of course, over time, we've had a system developed where there's a 3rd payer involved, and that's the insurance company. So you pay a premium, you know, then you go to the doctor, and the doctor collects some from you, and the doctor collects from the insurance company, and so the 3rd payer, the insurance company, has gotten very heavily into the game, and there's over 1,500 insurance companies in the country. And so that's what has helped make the situation so complex. You know, a tremendous amount of money. In fact, of the $800 billion that's spent on health care, Democrats and Republicans alike in Washington agree that about 10% of it has nothing to do with your health care. It has to do with shuffling papers and telling you what you're not entitled to under your particular plan. And that's why having a basic benefit package for Americans, which happens in both plans, with this common benefit package, makes life so much simpler. Because everybody knows what the benefits are. And I would submit that probably in this room, probably no more than 3 or 4 people might have the same health care plan. I mean, this one has Empire, this is Blue Cross Blue Shield, this program, other people have other programs, some have Medicaid, some have Medicare. So it's quite a mixed and complex system that has developed over time. And there's a lot of savings involved just in simplifying the system. So if you had one basic package and just say a couple of forms instead of the more than 150 different forms that every doctor's office has to know how to fill out, that would simplify things dramatically. And also there's a lot of tests that get done for no real reason in terms of helping your health. For example, if you had a basic system for all Americans as envisioned under these two programs, every legal American citizen is automatically in the program. You don't have to have a physical to determine whether this plan will accept you, which is the problem you have today. If you want to get into a health care plan today, they want to test you. They don't want to take you on if you have a pre-existing health care problem that might be very expensive for the insurance company in terms of upcoming future bills. And so you don't get that problem here. Everybody's automatically in the system if you are an American citizen. And the same thing is also true in the malpractice area. As you know, many tests get done, not because it's important for your health, but because the doctor validly is concerned in this too crazy society we have today that if a procedure doesn't turn out with the right results and it's really not his fault, for example, he's going to get sued big time. And so the malpractice issue is another area that certainly needs to be resolved and is a contributor to the high costs of health care today. And obviously there's a lot of new technologies that come through. That's driving up the prices. That's good. That's why we're the envy of the world, because we have been creating these great procedures. And of course, we live longer. That's great. But also let me remind you that Canadians live 2 years longer than Americans. So, we can learn from others, and we're trying to do that. So with that, I thank you for your attention, and at this point, I'd be happy to open the floor to any questions. And Blanche Cass, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to start with. Okay, let me just move this over, get my glass of water, and I'm all yours. Why don't we start right now?
My name's Walter Carter. I'm a veteran and also I'm on Medicare. How will that affect me going to the VA hospital? Would I have a choice under the newer bill to go to the VA or to Medicare? Or will I still be able to go to both?
Well, under the President's plan, I think the way it's written, you would choose which one you want.
In other words, I can't have one taken either. I can't have the VA or Medicare.
Well, let me see.
I can have one or the other. I can't have both.
Yeah, as I understand it, you would make a choice between the two. But let me suggest this, and that's why these meetings are important. What I'll do is I'll check that out, and I'll make sure that that option is available to you, because senior veterans right now get to do both cuts.
I'm available. I have both right now as a veteran.
Yeah, well, let me also point out that clearly one of the goals that the President has expressed is that he does not want to see anyone have less benefits than they have now. Because many people have a better benefit package than he envisions in the universal plan. And so what you don't want to do is, in fact, cut down on benefits people may already have that they paid for. For example, many contracts in recent years have been worked out as a function of providing health care benefits, and people have given up raises in order to assure health care benefits. So we do not want to diminish that. So there will be a great sensitivity to not giving anyone who has a benefit less than what they have now, but yet, as we move new people into the system, to have this universal plan.
Now, as a veteran, I feel like I have the right and the privilege, which I earned by being a veteran and also a retiree. I feel that I should not have to give up the VA, and as long as I am paying into Medicare, why should I be deprived of the Medicare? No.
Yeah. Well, you make your point, and as a former Navy enlisted man myself, I certainly
I'm sure
support that.
you can understand that as a Navy man. Right? You know, I work for one. I earn the other one by being a veteran like yourself, and I don't feel that I should have to give up either one.
Okay.
That I deserve and earn both of them.
Okay.
Thank you.
I understand. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Doctor is in an area where there are 3 alliances. And he belongs to all 3 of them, or is he restricted to one?
Now, as I understand it, doctors can join any alliance. Hospitals can join any
So
alliance.
being advantage-
The whole idea is to give people choice. So when you choose, if the president's plan passes, okay, bear in mind, we're talking about what is coming, not what is. So the whole idea that the president has expressed is he wants people to have choice. So doctors could join, if there's 3 alliances, all 3. So that the individual can choose, well, what's different about this alliance than another? Maybe the price is a little lower, maybe this benefits a little bit more, that is covered at a better rate, maybe the deductible's a little bit different. So the whole idea is to give you the best choice possible for you to choose what's right for you based on the plans that are available. But as I understand it, doctors, hospitals will most likely join all of the alliances available in an area. Okay.
I have 3 questions and a statement.
Okay.
Okay.
You want to do the statement and then ask one question at a time?
Yeah, I'll do the questions first. Why not incorporate the VA into the universal plan?
Okay, well, let me answer them as we go. The reason there is that we feel that veterans have a special status in this country. And while it may be true that it might cost us a little bit more, we feel that, as I say, veterans have a special status. We've committed to a separate healthcare system, and we feel very strongly that we should keep it. In fact, originally when the single-payer system was in place, it called for taking the VA system and folding it into the single-payer system, and we took it out so that the present McDermott bill, Wellstone bill that's listed there, the single-payer, has the VA system separate. It's strictly a case of what we feel we owe the veterans of this nation.
It sounds like there's 2 sets of paperwork still being funneled to one agency. So I'd rather just have one agency.
Yeah, that's true. But right now we have 1,500 different healthcare, health insurance companies, and so this program would take it down to a relatively few these programs. So we do reduce paperwork dramatically in any.
Because then this kind of is a duplicate thing. Why not just have one alliance? Because you're still building on the same economic focus of this. We're dealing with prices and benefits again, whereas Canada is dealing with what's available. And if in America we can make everything available everywhere, prices should be the same everywhere, or relative to whatever earnings are, and benefits are equal to everybody. You know, so I don't want to deal with prices and benefits again. Everybody has the same price, same benefits. Period.
Yeah, well, essentially that's true, except under the single-payer system we have 2 systems, VA and everybody else. So at least we go from a myriad of systems down to 2. And it may well turn out that we can have a common form for the VA as well as for the general system. The form can be the same, I would think.
Okay. And the third one was, you saying people can afford it. At the beginning, saying our system's so bad, we do it all. I'm saying no. I'm saying that the only thing that really needs to be changed is that there has to be mandatory participation of doctors. They have to know if they're going into med school and they want to be a doctor, they're coming out and they're taking 10, 20% of their clientele from welfare ranks or whatever, from poor people, poor working people. And they're just paid in a democratically approved socialized plan. And they are accepting that when they enter medical school. If they don't want to accept that, then don't be a doctor. You should just be up and understand 10, 20% of your clientele is socialized, period. And then we don't have to do anything. Keep the system the way it now. And then my third question is, Canada's healthcare provide abortion procedures for birth? Does Canada's healthcare provide abortion procedures for birth control use by taxpayer funding?
Okay, well, let me answer the question from the point of view, does our single-payer approach and does the president's bill allow for funding of abortion? Okay, let me answer that question.
Well, does Canada?
I assume Canada's probably does, but the real question is what would ours do, because that's what we're going to be voting on, right?
Well, that's my statement is then. I want to know if Canada does. because you brought it up, Canada.
Yeah, I'm under the impression that Canada does, but the real question is, what would ours do, right? So let me answer that question.
Well, can I give you my viewpoint?
Oh, sure.
Okay, sure. I think as a true, truthful, fair, universal idea, we of the human species who are considered adults must come to cherish, protect, and support newly conceived human life in the womb. We have the knowledge of how to block conception from occurring. Educate this. Let this be our avenue of participating maturely and responsibly, which is befitting an adult. Do not allow for abortifacients to exist. Do not allow for abortion procedures to be employed. Let our societal policy be that of, once fertilization is achieved, that a new human being is in existence, and in its young developmental stage of life, we will acknowledge, honor, respect, protect, and support this person as to be brought to the fullness of life. I do not want taxpayer funding abortion.
Okay. Let me respond to that. No. This is part of the health care. I mean, we do have to consider it, so it's certainly appropriate to raise. And you may have the opportunity to take the other side if you choose. But let me respond. What most people don't realize is that the existing health care insurance plans, most of them today, in fact, provide for reproductive services, which does include abortion as, within, of course, the scope of Roe versus Wade. So you might want to check if you're opposed to taxpayer financing of abortions, Medicaid abortions, you should look at your own policy. You may well find that, unbeknownst to you, your private policy right now probably does include the service. Now, the president's plan does call for the funding of abortions within the scope of Roe versus Wade. But let me explain an odd situation that exists in New York State that I think will surprise you, because I was surprised when I researched this area. New York State, for many years, has had a policy of funding abortions for poor women. It turns out that we're spending in New York State taxpayers' dollars about $21 million a year for abortions. Now, whether you agree with that or don't agree with it, that's how it is. That's what the New York State budget does right now. It's been that way for many years. Now, what that means is roughly every one of us as New Yorkers are spending about $1 a year of our New York State taxpayers' money funding these abortions for poor women. Now, if the president's plan goes through as it is written, where the federal government would, in essence, carry that, as many of your private insurance carriers do, what it means is, from a New York taxpayer's point of view, since the federal government would pay half of it, you're now only spending 50 cents of your tax dollar, New York State tax dollar, to fund abortion. Meanwhile, since all of the states do not do this, it turns out that probably you're still going to pay some of your federal tax dollars toward that 50%. You probably will end up spending 20 cents of your federal tax dollar funding it. So, I know this doesn't make you feel any better, but if the president's plan goes through, instead of spending $1 each year funding Medicaid abortions, you'd only be spending about 70 cents. 50 cents through the New York State tax and 20 cents through federal tax. So, I know that's no consolation if you're opposed to it, but that's how it is right now. But the president's plan does include it, and I support that inclusion. Also, there is a clause that would assure that anyone, hospital, any medical personnel who are personally opposed to abortion do not have to participate in it. But that's the way it's written right now.
But understand, see, I look at premiums. We all pay our premiums for insurance, and I don't get sick my whole life, all right? But I paid in. This guy gets sick, and he's going to get a lot more back than what he ever put in. So we're still subsidizing abortion. And a person who doesn't want to, that's not right. When they got a godly view of what we're doing on planet Earth, and they see all mankind going astray, and they don't want to be a part of it, they should have a right to be able to do that.
Next, please.
Well, let me just find, you know, the abortion question.
3 minutes.
No, I'm not requiring 3 minutes. You know,
That's what it says here. You're a special.
Those statements that she made.
well, we'll give you the opportunity to speak in a minute. Let me just say this. The abortion question is not one that we will probably ever settle in our lifetime because people feel very strongly on both sides. But let me say one thing. I think there is common ground that we can all share.
The immigrants prisoner until they could pay the $30,000 plus for their passage to America.
Agents and officers also seized from that location an Uzi firearm equipped with a silencer.
This frightened people in this placid neighborhood.
That's extremely frightening. No idea.
The illegal immigrants say federal officials left Fujian province in China by boat and reached San Francisco in June. Then the smugglers flew them from Los Angeles to New York.
New York City and Hong Kong are the two seats of Asian organized crime. So they're just bringing them to their power base.
There were 22 illegal immigrants in this safe house. That's just a drop in the bucket of the thousands of illegal immigrants who come into New York City every month. And law enforcement officials believe it was a different gang involved here than was involved with the Golden Venture. They say this is a growing problem.
More of the gangs that are typical, that are known to everybody, getting into the smuggling business because the profits are there.
3 gangs are already accused of being involved in this estimated $1 billion smuggling business. Police say the Fujian gang arranged for the Golden Venture boatload of desperate immigrants. The White Tigers, shown here in a shootout in Queens in 1990, are accused of today's smuggling, and the Flying Dragons were arrested tonight for extortion for payments for smuggling. Tiwa Chang, News 4, New York.
Well, tonight, the makers of Diet Pepsi say it is case closed in the nationwide tampering hoax. Pepsi is placing this ad in newspapers over the weekend. It says the stories about people finding foreign objects in Diet Pepsi are plain and simple not true, a finding backed up by federal investigators. A Florida man who admitted dropping screws into a can of Coca-Cola has some advice for others.
It just doesn't pay. I'm just asking everybody, please don't do, what I did. It's not right. You'll get caught up in the act.
To date, there have been more than a dozen arrests and confessions of false Pepsi reports.
Police in Queens are still trying to find out what caused a deadly van accident. The driver works for the United Cerebral Palsy Association, and police say his van flipped over after it hit another van at an intersection in Jamaica. He was killed. 10 passengers with cerebral palsy, 2 counselors, and the other driver had minor injuries. The pilot of a small plane is lucky to be alive tonight after crashing near a handball court at the Islip Town Golf Course in Holbrook. When he tried to escape, the plane door jammed and he was trapped. One of the handball players ran over and managed to free the pilot. Moments later, the plane burst into flames and was destroyed. In Albany, 2 mysterious explosions rocked the basement of a state office building, triggering a small fire. It was the Office of General Services building. 3,000 people had to be evacuated. 4 people were hurt. The explosions took place in an underground room that holds electrical equipment, so at first officials thought a transformer blew up. But now they say they're not sure what happened.
Well, on Long Island tonight, there was a growing controversy over grass. If you let your lawn grow too high, you could end up in jail or pay a hefty fine, if town leaders have their way. News 4's Roger Stern reports.
This is the sound village trustees want to hear more of. Lawnmowers pruning back the grass jungle. It used to be you went to jail for growing this kind of grass. Now any kind of grass may get you in trouble. Village officials are proposing a 4-inch height limit. Break it and you may pay a $250 fine or spend 15 days in the pokey.
I got to get ready for the 4-inch grass here, otherwise I go to jail.
You think they're being too strict?
Oh, yeah, sure, yeah. This is nonsense.
Yeah, this is almost 5 inches here.
Geez, I don't know what to say. Now I feel terrible now.
But if you live next door to a lawn like this, it's no laughing matter.
But this is an eyesore for the entire neighborhood.
I think the judge should consider some sort of minimal jail to get the property owner to comply with the law. I mean, look at this. Would you want this in your community?
I don't think so. And what would happen after you know, number of warnings and summonses and fines, this mess still isn't cleaned up? I think something drastic might have to be done.
Now, the woman who owns this house gets her grass cut on Saturday, so we have 6 days worth of growth and, more than 4 inches. That is, if the village goes by the longer blades and not the shorter ones. Even the village trustee who proposed this law now admits 4 inches may be a little stretch.
An 8-inch standard would be in order.
4 inches or 8 inches, let your lawn go to pot, and we don't